Hi, in this video we're going to do a fraction to a negative power. And by a negative power I just mean this index here is a negative number. We've got a fraction as the base here. Now in the previous video we saw how negative indices work. If we had a negative index like that, what we did is the same power but 1 over it with a positive index instead. So just to give you an example, if I had 2 to the power of minus 3, you would do 1 over and then the same power, but without the negative. So 2 to the power of positive 3 and 2 to the 3 is 8. So it'd be 1 over 8. Now, if you have a fraction to a negative power, so let's just say that I have x over y to the power of minus a, then what happens is that, well, as we said before, if you have the negative power, you do 1 over it. So you do 1 over and then x over y, but instead of an index of minus a, you have an index of positive a. And then what you could do is when we have a fraction to a power, so this x over y to the power of a, we could apply that power of a to both the x and the y. So we could have x to the power of a over y to the power of a, like this. Now, we've previously seen when we do 1 over a fraction like this, as a reciprocal of a fraction, it flips it upside down. So 1 divided by x to the a over y to the a becomes y to the a over x to the a. And then we can sort of go backwards to sort of put that power outside. So we have y over x to the power of a, because if we had this, we'd apply that power of a both to the y and the x to get that, right? So what I've basically shown here is that if you have a fraction to a negative power, you basically just reciprocate, you flip the fraction inside this brackets here, and instead of a negative power, we now have a positive power. So we can apply that to these examples here. So we got a power of -1 here. Because it's negative, we do 1 over the fraction inside. We flip the fraction inside, which is just going to be 5 over 1. But instead of a power of -1, we now have a power of positive 1. But 5 over 1 is just 5, isn't it? And so it's 5 to the power of 1, which is just 5. So that is the final answer there. What about the second one? Again, because we've got a fraction to a negative power, we flip the fraction, we reciprocate the fraction, and now instead of a power of -1, we have a power of 1. And then anything to the power of 1 is itself, so we get 3 over 2. So that is the second answer. The next one. Now, we flip the fraction aside, we have 4 over 3, but now to the power of positive 2. And then I can just apply that power of 2 to both the 4 and the 3 in the fraction. So 4 squared is 16, and 3 squared is 9. So that's the answer. And then this final one, we flip the fraction inside. So we have 5 over 2, but now to a positive power. So the index is 3. And then you apply that power of 3 to the numerator and the denominator. So 5 to the power of 3 is 5 times 5 times 5, which is 125. And 2 to the power of 3 is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. And that is the final answer.